Hi folks, I'm Claire and welcome to my channel. How cheesy did that sound? Anyway, today's channeling is going to be with the Divine Mother, who is more commonly known as Mother Mary. And her energy, I think it was last week, came in when I was thinking about doing this video, because I first mentioned it when I did the first group healing video, which was a mother wound. And I think if you can see steam, I do have a cup of tea under my camera. Get yourself a cup of tea. This is an Emma Bridgewater cup. I know some of you like them. This one is the Love one. It was from the Valentine's section. But yes, I do like Emma Bridgewater. And I thought, yeah, and I think I said, tonight, I think a lovely video to do for this group healing in the run up to it would be a Mother Mary video. And I was like, yeah, put that on my to-do list. And it was last week when I really sensed her energy. And I was shown her in a way that I've never seen her before. Now, usually, I'll put that there actually, that tea. Usually, when we think of Mother Mary, we think of this lady here. Okay? And it's the same with Jesus. Okay? She's very smooth, she's very young, she's very serene, she's very blonde in some cases, very blue-eyed. You get my drift. Nothing wrong with this, beautiful statue. But this woman, this divine feminine woman that appeared was none of that. She was showing me her in the later years of her life. Before I go any further, I wasn't actually going to do this video because it's going to be controversial. And I was like, I can't go on and start talking about all this because literally she just mentioned the three wise men as well. And I'm going to come to that. And I was like, I can't do this video because this is people's belief systems and oh God. Anyway, and she came to me as an older woman, very lined, black hair, blue. She did have the blue sparkly eyes. But she was a healer. She was a healer, a wise woman. You know, the sages, the wise women, the old crones, that kind of energy. And I was a bit taken aback, and I was like, she's always shown herself in a different light. And that's the thing. You may be watching this and think, no, I'm not going down that route. I'm just going to visualise her in the blue gown, that's fine. But I've been shown a different aspect to her. And it was interesting because I'd actually ordered another deck to work with this to do this reading, and it's not come. It's not come. And I'm now thinking, am I really going to use that deck after what I've seen in this video? That I've never had that with a deck where I order it and it doesn't come. Weird. Anyway, moving on swiftly. So yeah. And I was getting myself ready this morning to do this video. I was chatting to her and I said, I don't even know what I said. I think I said, show me another aspect, show me, because this is going to be about mothering and about the mother wound and she was just, it was surreal. She showed me the birth of Jeshua, birth of Christ, okay? And she pointed out, she said, look at the birth that you see in the book, right? The book. And just, I want you to think about that a minute. So I looked at what you see in the book. Here she is. She's had this divine conception. She's married. Also, I don't know, let's not get into the big of whether she is or whether they aren't. And she goes to her husband and she says, an angel's appeared and said, I'm pregnant. You imagine. So right, I'll come back to this in a minute, so you get that. And then you're on a donkey. Any women that's been pregnant, put your hand up now. Yes, there's a few of you there. Could you ride on a donkey just before you're about to, okay? And I was like, oh. No, back then you may have had to. She's saying no. You're then giving birth in a barn, and you're surrounded by your husband or your partner who is under the impression that he's not the father, that this baby's come from another means, and your only visitors are going to be 3 wise men. I want you to then look at that pregnancy and think, oh, you're female, your legs are akimbo, you're away from home, and that's what you've got, men. I rest my case, and I was like, oh my God, yeah, I've never ever seen it like that. I've never seen it like that. And then she went on to say, we existed, we were true people, and we were meant to have an impact on the world and bring through healing and teaching and wisdom. She's saying, but the healing and teaching and wisdom is meant to be connected via the internal book, yes, rather than the external book. I apologise if this offends. This is not my intention, okay? And that the story of those people has been polished to suit the narrative. And actually, when you really look at the story, it's actually quite barbaric, but it's meant to shine. And she said, rather than 3 wise men, why were there not 3 wise women? Because she said in pregnancies, and it wasn't always perfect back then, it was cold, it wasn't cold obviously where she was, but emotionally cold, barren times. But there wouldn't be men around a woman giving birth. You look at some of the historical fiction, get out! You hear the midwives, get out, and all of that, and keep it. I mean, men were the opposite. They were like, oh my God, get me out of here quick. And I was just like, oh my God, yes. Now you may be thinking, oh, I felt that anyway, Claire. That's the first time for me. First time for everything. Let's have a slurp of tea. So, yes. So, and now she's saying, so it begins. You're given this narrative as a female and a male straight away before you even start your reproductive years, before you even start your physical years with people, okay? And you've already got that seed there. So when you come to fall pregnant, you're not shown being surrounded by the divine feminine. You're not shown being supported by the divine feminine. You're shown riding on a donkey, away from home, being what's it called? No room at the inn, that was it, no room at the inn. You're shown abandonment. You're shown abandonment straight away. And you may not be conscious of it, but it's subconscious it goes into. For some women it is conscious and they're thinking, no, not on my watch. But it's already there, the seed's already planted. So we subconsciously go, or consciously, depending on how you've embedded that seed, go into this pregnancy thing, feeling that. Imagine if you were shown a different narrative, or maybe the real narrative. I may ask her to show me. We'll do some journeying, okay? If it feels appropriate. Imagine if you were shown that she fell pregnant through organic means, the natural organic means, that she was able to give birth in her own community, surrounded by her own people, her own women folk, the elders, the wise women, the sages, the old crow, all of that, the shamans. Imagine if she, rather than being given frankincense, myrrh and incense, if she was given other things, wisdom, if she was given support, time, if she was given decency, if she was given dignity. Imagine how that would change as we as women go off and then get pregnant and give birth. You're shown that actually to have a baby you can be supportive. So when you go into the hospitals and you don't question it. You know, you don't question it. You don't. I know there's I know not just in shamanism. There's all other belief systems that do this. But I'll talk about my own belief system, which is shamanism, and it's where we can have women that go in with, I don't do this because I never say never. I've never had a child, and I think to do it you have to have a child. I think I am old school. I'm going to be old-fashioned here. I actually think even to be a midwife, I think on some levels you need to have I think you need to have gone through a pregnancy, and I do believe that, because I think you get something from being pregnant and going through pregnancy that is a gift to another woman going through that. So I don't think I'd ever do that. But basically these women go, so say if I did do it. So say if I've had a baby and I've done it, and I've got a client that says, I want you to go with me through the pregnancy. Okay, I go into there. I take crystals in, I'll take incense in, I'll take the correct music in, healing, soothing music. I will be talking to the dad. I will be talking to any grandparents that are there. The father will be getting, or the mother, or whatever, gets holistic guidance, gets holistic treatment. The birthing partners get holistic treatment, get holistic guidance. I'm also in the room, and I'm also looking after the portal in which this baby comes into. So I'm making sure that there's nothing that can attach onto the baby. I'm also going to be making sure that the room in which the baby is birthed into, nothing can attach into it. That she's not going to be able to absorb the trauma of her other people's pregnancies. There's a story about mine when my mum gave birth to me. There was an 11-year-old girl in the ward that was in serious pain. I'm not going to go into the details, but she was screaming out, and she couldn't help it, no judgment there. But again, if I was in there, I'd do it so actually you wouldn't hear that, because it can then cause it just ripples like the ripples of a pond. I'd also probably in there send some healing to that situation with her divine acceptance. Okay, do you see the difference? And I'm not knocking the normal way of doing it, but actually what's needed is something totally different. And I've said this before about learning about what the soul that's coming in, what past life. You're not going to know all their past lives, are you? Of course you're not. I don't even know all of my past lives, and I do this on a daily basis because it can be exhausting. It can be really exhausting. It's a gradual process, but you'd have some kind of an idea. We'd be looking at the soul contracts, and it changes the game. You know, what's your support network when you're going home? Have you got the right food in? Have you got the right, is your home, are you going home to a clean home? Are you going home to a support? All of this. Are you going home to look at Instagram and go, oh my God, I've not got the best, I don't know, give me a name, the best Versace blankets. I know that's a bit highbrow, but you get my drift. God, God. I'm not judging, I'm not judging, but people take pictures of the baby's nursery and put them on social media. How does the woman feel, the other woman that maybe can't afford that, whose nursery is going to be at the bottom of the bed? And she's exposed to this all of the time. She's exposed to it on back to school day, when she may be struggling to afford decent shoes for her children. Maybe she can't even afford a new uniform because they're having to go back in last year's. So as a mother, you're already exposed to stuff that is actually totally out of your control. Totally out of your control. And then you wonder why, even before we're starting with issues. And it's about coming back to simplicity. Let's take some more tea. I hope you're having a drink with me today. I know many of you do. Do you know, sometimes I'll do readings, and if I'm not having a cup of tea in the read, people must think I do this all the time, drink tea or coffee, but I'm on a coffee ban now. Monday to Friday I don't have coffee or caffeine. I have one on a weekend, I have one on a Saturday and one on a Sunday. It's actually helping me feel a lot better. But when I do readings on people get like, oh, have you got a cup of tea, Claire? Nope. The squeaky water bottle comes out. No, people get disappointed because they visualise me just sat here with a cup of tea all the time. It's a nice vision. Hold that vision. So, I'm using some decks, obviously. I'm using the Witching Hour Oracle. God, apologies, dropped that, didn't I? Very smooth box that. True Love by Belinda Grace. and the Pastoral Tarot, which when I pick up is going to fall apart because it's one of those boxes. That, by the way, is the bag that the cards sit in. The Pastoral Tarot. I'll put that up like that because it's one of those that the bottom falls out. So I'm sat here and I'm talking, so I said, let's pull some cards. It's a long time since I've used this deck. I think I got it at Christmas. I did get it at Christmas. I've not used it that much. So I says, give me a card, Mary. Well, sorry, the Divine Mother. And that's what she sent me. And that is exactly like who I'm seeing. That is what the Mother Mary energy is. It's wisdom. But look at this card as well, vitality. Strength. That you're not the weak and feeble woman. That you're stronger than you're led to believe. That your power is not outside of you, your power is within you. You are given the sacred codes, the sacred divine feminine codes at birth. And those codes, they're within the womb system, within all of it, with all the systems of the body. You can't buy that from a shelf. You can't buy that from, I don't know, Amazon. It's within you. So when you're looking external for the answers are always within you. I come to the point now of when people are reading books or when people, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. Because actually, sometimes reading a really decent book on mothering and on parenting, if it's the right book, can really take you back into those codes and fire those codes back up again so you can latch back into those codes and start using them. But it's when you're going onto Instagram, it's when you're looking at your best friend or your sister that's given birth, or maybe you've gone in and you've been damaged, you're physically damaged during the birth, and your sister says, oh, I can imagine it being, I once went onto Mumsnet, oh God, anyway, that's the story. And I can imagine it being quite toxic. Well, my birth was really smooth. Well, I had a water birth. Well, I had this birth. Well, I took every drug going. And I can imagine as a woman, I can imagine it feeling horrific. Come back into yourself and your own experience. So why do we have so many mother wounds in all their different forms right now on this planet? Why do we have all these different forms of mother wound? Mothers having the mother wound, children having the mother wound, all of it. A lack of centre. A lack of divine knowledge. A lack of presence of being in the body. She's saying that when you're physically giving birth, it's been made into such a trauma that some women go into it like they've been shot or like they've just been in a car crash because it feels like that, because you see it on the telly. They're doing it now with perimenopause and menopause. They're turning it into something horrific. I am having to do so much reprogramming at the minute, it's untrue. And had I not been doing this work, I would have been in the doctors thinking I was ill. But the very fact that I can connect to these deities and guides has stopped me from that. So you're already, everything's getting opened up, you're getting taught, all of that. You're going into fear, there's lack of medical care, there's lack of it all, there's maybe a partner next to you that isn't equipped to deal with it, there's no wise women around you, there's no ancient women around you, there's none of that. And it's almost like as well, she's showing me women actually stepping out of the body and not actually wanting to come back into the body. She said a lot of you watching, not all of you, but do you remember the cold mothers, the cold grandmothers that were just cold? And the stories about, God, she was great when I met her, she was vibrant, she was happy, she had babies and that was it, she went cold. It's a bit like the postnatal depression energy that I'm picking up as well. Because it's not dealt with holistically, it's causing this boom where the energy wants to step outside itself, and they're feeling quite out of the body experience. Keep it simple, Claire. It's like out of the body experience. It's like, and she said in some cases, some women feel as though they're looking down on themselves. And so then if they don't heal from that and come back into the heart centre, they'll just spiral from that, okay? How do we then heal that? How can that be healed? Presence. Presence. She's saying presence right from before conception. She says at the minute, this isn't just about mothers, this is about women in general. We're so away from ourselves. The harshness of the life that we're living, the harshness of the world. And it's about women coming back into community with themselves. The wrong relationships, the wrong marriages, the wrong homes, the wrong jobs. Let's pull a card. How can women come back home to themselves? We may not use all these cards. We may use them, who knows? How can women heal this? How can they heal this? How can they heal this? Honouring the past. Wow. See, when I don't use a deck regular, I forget the pictures in it. The decks I use all the time, I think, oh yeah, I know that. I bet that card comes. I bet that card. Honouring the past. Honouring your wise women. The wise women that have come before you, even your own mother, even if you have a situation with your mother, it doesn't matter, she's classed as the wise woman now. Your grandmothers, take it right back to the beginning of time. Take it away from the generational line you've come from, take it into your past lifeline. Even if you've not had many lives on earth, you'll still have these divine codes within you. You'll still be watched by the divine women like the Divine Mother, Mother Mary to some people. Here we come. Are you ready for it? Rest after labour. Rest after labour. Being able to bond with your baby without, you give the. I mean, I do have to be careful what I say about certain things. But you give birth and straight away your baby's whipped off. It's all. I don't know. In some cases they need to, but it's about. She's saying it is changing in some wards, and more women are opting for different kinds of births. And there's no judgment here if you're sat there and you've had your basic hospital birth, you've had every drug. There is no judgment. But this is about connecting back to the soul, resting after labour. And I'm also seeing as well the deluge of, is it deluge? Is that a made up word or a real word? Of visitors that can come as well. But the opposite when nobody comes. It's about being able to do that, whether you've got all the visitors in the world or not. Rest after labour. She's saying labour is sacred. It's a sacred, sacred time. It's not a time to be fearful of all the things that people are fearful of when they're having a baby. Let's try the True Love deck. See what this is a brand new deck as well that I'm using. True Love, Yin and Yang. It exploded at that. Yin and Yang. Okay, so this is the divine feminine, the divine masculine working together. So this isn't just about the divine. I don't like saying the divine feminine healing, because to me the divine feminine is healed, right? It's like saying Mother Earth is healing. Nope. The earth is healing. Your higher self's already healed. The physical body needs to heal. This is the divine feminine and the divine... This is the male and the female being able to embody their divine feminine, their divine masculine. Let's give it a good shuffle. It's come out again. It's come out again. With this one, sexual freedom. Okay. Conception. Do you know that as a baby, as a soul in the womb, some people become souls in the womb, some people don't enter soul, it's all different. There's no one size fits all. But if you've not been conceived in a healthy, balanced, loving relationship or marriage, straight away you absorb that as a baby. So this is about teaching going forward, if we're planning to have children, that we're with the correct person, that we're in the correct situation, that we're not just a drunken fumble, that it's not going to be something else even more horrific than that, that it's not going to be as a result of a random encounter. Again, no judgment, these things happen, but I think this is about being better going forward. And this is not just about women, this is about men making sure they're not doing that as well. Making sure that, you know, we've got the club culture at the minute where, again, not judging it, but is that how you want your child to form? Somebody who you can't remember their own name and you wake up like, oh my God, how do you explain that? So this is about having, and you know, sometimes with clients, you can journey to their conception to see what their conception was like, to see how their conception is affecting their life now. You know, in horrific cases when it's been horrific, through attacks and stuff, that takes some cleansing. Also as well, when you've been in the womb, you can pick up so much. I've told you the Chernobyl story. Do I have to say it again? Don't say it again, because you've done. But there may be new people watching. Okay, say it again, you're desperate to. Chernobyl, quick, I'll make it quick. There was a woman that was pregnant, and she lived quite close to where the disaster was. Obviously the radiation, that she was pregnant, they took them to the hospital, everyone died. She didn't, and they were like, let's test her. She lost the baby though, so they tested her, and there was no radiation, but the baby was full of it. And they were like, that's bizarre. And a doctor came in and said, no, it's not, because actually we're starting to find out that it's well proven that the baby absorbs everything in the womb. So if you're absorbing all that radiation to a point that your mum can live and you die, what else are you absorbing? And again, no judgment. So it's about being mindful of our fears, of our life, of everything we're experiencing around this time when we're carrying a child and up to as well. Another card, please. Align. Decisions. Going forward as women and as men, because I'm not just going to target women with this video, men as well, we're going to have to make more decisions about our lives going further. Going forward, we're not going to be allowed, ooh, interesting, I'm going to say we're not going to be able to, we're not going to be allowed to just flow with it. Now you may say, well, in the spiritual community says you've just got to flow. Yeah, but there's a difference between, oh well, what can you do? Life's shit, you know, it's the hand I've been dealt with, I'm just going to flow with it. To, I can flow through this trauma. There's a difference with it. And again, it's about how we use the words that we're using and the mindsets that we're using, okay? So, we have to align to something bigger than ourselves. We have to align to something, but that bigger than ourselves is not separate from ourselves. It's already within ourselves. We have to align to something higher, to something more enlightening. So what do we do when you say you're watching and you think, God, my child was conceived like that, or I was conceived like that, all that kind of energy. What do you then do going forward with that? What do we do going forward with that? You see it. And you learn from it. You see it and you learn from it. It doesn't become a story that we just loop, my mum and dad did, as if it's where people loop and loop and loop and loop and loop and loop. But we see it and we acknowledge it and we learn from it going forward. Self-healing, here she is again. Self-healing. Decisions. These are powerful times for men and women going forward. They're really powerful times for men and women going forward. And there's much distraction in the world, again, that takes you away from that. The decisions that we really do need to be making about how we go forward. Because we've come so far away from our divinity, it's untrue. Me included. This is, I'll show you the Pastoral Tarot. It's a lovely deck of this. The Fool. Are you ready for this though? The leap of faith. Humanity's here. The Three of Swords, despair, despondency. But we're here also, the Fool. And many are gearing up now to take this leap of faith. They're looking back and they're like, yeah, I need to take this leap of faith. The choices, the actions, the pain. It's about humanity's now got to choose to do something different. No magic is going to happen that makes it all better. It's got to come from within us. Anything other, some light bulb moment or some bolt of lightning coming to earth that everybody can see, that's not empowerment. It's got to come from within. The seeds have got to come from within. She's showing me now these, I'll keep it simple and call it the codes. And she said a lot of these codes have been dormant because we've just not been interested in switching them on, because there's other codes out there that we can, okay? She said, but these codes are now firing up in different ways. So, and you may think, really? Yes, they are. That's why so many women are feeling overwhelmed. That's why so many women are feeling angry and resentful. That's why there's so much generational trauma coming up. That's why there's so many men that are feeling despondent. That's why people are questioning their place in the world. Because it's like, oh God, wait a minute, something's firing up in me, I don't know what it is. So we're looking now, we're trying to find what this is. Is it my marriage? Is it this? Is it that? Those seeds are firing up. What's going to happen? What's going to be the result if we don't listen to the seeds? Show me what happens if we don't listen to the divine seeds. The Hierophant. The Wheel of Fortune. So if we don't listen to the seeds, we miss the opportunity. We miss the opportunity. If we do listen to the seeds, Wheel of Fortune again, that'd be interesting if it's the same cards, won't it? And the Two of Swords, the choice. This is interesting. People aren't ready. I'm not being an arse here, but people are not ready. We're not ready. We still want the quick fix. We're still torn. We're still torn. We don't want to go higher. That's boring. I just want to numb it. I just want to drink. I just want to watch all this telly. I just want to numb it. I don't want to tap into these codes. We're at a crossroads. I don't want to use the words crisis point, but we're at a crisis point. So let's try this day. Let's try this day. If we listen to the codes, where will we go to? If we listen to the codes, what will happen? If we listen to the codes. Love. And what's at the bottom? Reparenting yourself. Reparenting yourself. Having to then reparent yourself. Re-nurture yourself. If we don't listen to the codes, what will happen? If we don't listen to the codes, what will happen? Boundaries. Yeah, we'll stay where we're at. Boundaries, there'll be no boundaries. We'll be wanting the knight in shining armour. It'll be the patriarchy that'll win. The chivalry. Because he's not the divine masculine. I'm being honest here, many people are not listening to these codes. In fact, they're doing the total opposite. And it's like I've said this before, many souls have decided to incarnate to the earth and not have children. And what happens is, but I want children. You come into physical body, the physical body wants children. And rather than actually listening to what's said in healing sessions, in listening to your intuition, listening to these inner codes and thinking, we're not meant to have children, we go against that. We start going down other alternatives. And one of the reasons why, because there's many of them, one of the reasons why many people choosing not to have children is because humanity has lost its way so much and there's so much generational trauma going on that many souls have come down and said, stop. I'm going to go down, I'm going to just clear what I need to clear for myself. And the bloodlines, and the past lifelines, and the earth, and the planet. It's almost like but we've got so many people go, no, I want a baby, I want a baby. And it's like, oh, we get meant to. And then they wonder why, because they've gone down another alternative route, that they become ill. Or they can't function as a mother, or they struggle to function as a mother. God, I'm going to get in so much trouble with this video, it's going to be untrue. No, there's nothing wrong with adoption and fostering. What we've got to ask ourselves, why do we live in a world where there is the need for that? Why do we live in a world where there's the need for that? And that again is an example of how far we've come away from ourselves. Why do we live in a world where there's a need for that? Because even if both parents died, there should still be people or community around them. Why have we become so far away from that? Why have we become so far away from our strength? She's saying people see pregnancy as the answer to it. They see having a baby as the answer to their dreams. Not the answer to their dreams, the answer to their troubles. Life will be better. We'll be closer when a baby comes. And actually that's not the case in a lot of it can make situations worse. She's showing me her own birth, so just bear with me. She's just showing me. She's showing me her own. She's had a birth. She's had a pregnancy. She's had a birth. That's interesting. She's showing me out. We call him. You can call him Joshua, whatever Christ. The shaman that went on to rock the world is what I'll call him. God, you're going to be in so much trouble for this video, Claire. No, it'll be external stuff that'll come in. Yeah. All right, whatever. What Teflon? We're coated in Teflon on here. A lot of parents are giving birth to children that are actually quite overwhelming. Their gifts are overwhelming. Their senses are overwhelming. Their life, their role in the world is overwhelming. And a lot of parents are feeling this, not overwhelming as though, God, they're taking my shine. It's not that. It's, am I even good enough for this child? The child chose you for a reason. And she's showing me she looked at her son and realised she had to make changes to adapt to the frequency that was coming through him. She's saying he was a rarity back then. He was a rarity, and there's no ego in that. But there's going to be more of this, call it the Christ-like consciousness coming in, stronger and stronger. Divinity, light, enlighten, whatever you feel comfortable with. This is not about the Bible, this video. This is not about that. This is about a family of wise men and women healers. This is not a Bible, okay? This is not a Bible lesson. Please don't be uncomfortable with it. She's showing me him as a child now, as a little boy, and him going in with other healers. She's saying the book, let's call it the book, claims that it, all the bread and all the wolves, it was the bread and wolves, the bread and what is all of that way, the feeding of the 5, it was all just. She said, but he actually, for all that he had the gift, he was taught by elders, he was taught by wise men. She's showing me in classes. He became quite ill as well. He became quite ill with the frequency that ran through him. It was a stage that actually, I want to say it left him bedridden for a while. She said it can happen to a lot of healers. It's almost like, it's like an implosion in the body where the body just needs to rest. Did he have a sister? Because I'm seeing him with a sister. There's a little girl around. It's not Mary Magdalene, I don't think. It feels like they had a sister. There's a sister around him. I'm going to Google. Did he have a sister? Did Jesus, I'll call him Jesus, did Jesus have siblings? I don't think he did. Well, I'm seeing him having a sister. I'm seeing him as having a sister, and this sister's interesting me a lot. So can we track the sister? This is interesting. Just let me sit with this. She's gone. She's there, but it's almost like whilst the world's attention was on Joshua, Jesus Christ, she also went off. She was very similar to him. And with Africa, so would she have been to Africa? Now I'm seeing something else, so we may come back to her, maybe not meant to see where she went, but I'm seeing an imposter at the time. Let's channel Mother Mary, it'll be a nice little channeling. I'm seeing some imposter energy as well, not imposter energy, but an imposter person, a physical person. Now I'm seeing him with Mary Magdalene. It is bouncing about a bit, so I'm having to just flow with it. And then them having children together. And those children going off. Wherever these children have gone off to, and the same with the sister, and probably other relatives as well. There's something in this frequency that they're going off and they're having children, and it's this frequency that's gone into light. They were needed on the planet to seed this light into them, birth this light out. Show me the bloodlines, show me the bloodlines. Show me the bloodline of Christ now, show me the bloodline of Christ now. Luminosity, love. I'm going to share what I'm seeing. I'm seeing that back then, people could see his frequency and the frequency of the family, that they had something within them. And certain people wanted that within their lines. They never got it. I will put my money on it, they never got it. The line went off. It went off. I'm not going to go down any dark holes here, but any wonderings about all of that, it's untrue. It's untrue. His bloodline went, and the call it the Christ light. It didn't go into other areas. It went. They escaped with it. They, as in the family. It's love. It's not gone into any dark family lines or anything like that. It went into love. That they ran away. It's not happened. All of that is fakery, fake news. End of. Oh, you're going to be so much trouble. Self-healing. So, could you show me what happened to Joshua? Christ yourself. Oops. Show me what happened. Can you show me what happened? Two of Cups. Union. The Chalice. The Four of Pentacles. He went on. He went on. He went on. There's all kinds of view, and it's hard doing something because you've got to push that to one side, because you've not got to let that infect you either, and you've also got to infect the narrative to really look at this situation, and it can be quite hard actually because there's so much around it. So he went on the chalice. So I need to read. I've been to that garden, you know, the chalice well. Been to that garden. He went on. She's saying he also still incarnates. And he's not those people that claim the Christ. He's not those. The people that he incarnates as, who does he incarnate as? Can we see? He's still incarnating. His frequency is still incarnating. He incarnates, but he incarnates in very different incarnations. I'm seeing him as a Buddhist monk. I'm seeing him, or I'm not seeing him as, you know, the president or the princess or any of that. He's none of that. Although the frequency is within us all. What's the future for humanity? What do I say? Oh, I said, what's the future for humanity? I've left, without knowing about it, without realising, I picked my deck up and I've left one card on the bottom of the desk, on the desk, right? It's the card of judgment. There's going to be a big judgment call for you, that it's already happening. We have come so far from ourselves. As a species, we're in the judgment. That's powerful, is that card. The ancestors watching on the side, having to welcome in the light. She said the reason why people's lives are getting so dark at this time is because they are not allowing in the light. They're not allowing in the light, and they have to let the light in. So what's the future for humanity? What's the future for humanity? Three of Swords, heartbreak and despair, and the burdens. That's the future at the minute, okay? So it's about putting the, but don't get triggered and scared by that, because there's way too much of that at the minute. This is a warning. This is where we're at. It's anxiety. It's coming away from ourselves. It's the burdens. That's the future. Where are we heading? Where are we heading? Oops, there was two cards that came out. Where are we heading? Oops, where are we heading? Once we've been through that stage, where are we heading? The Eight of Wands, to move forward. Ten of Cups, new worth, energy. Planting new seeds, going back to wholesome, organic ways, going back to, yeah, I mean, look at that. I'm going to have to cover my face up so you can get a proper thing of it. I know you can't see my mouth for speaking, but just look at the artwork for that. So we're going to go through a period, and I think we're already at that period of heartbreak, despair, the burdens that we're carrying. It's all choices. Choices. We think that everything is outside of us, that life is doing something to us, but we are the great creators. Any guidance now from others? She's saying connect back into your womb. She's showing me gender reveals and all of that kind of stuff that's going on. She says it's all external. It's all Instagrammable. It's all external. She says we need to come back into the womb space. She says having a child within your womb, within your body, is a sacred time. Not just for the baby, but for you as well, for the people around you. All of that needs to go. All of it needs to go. She's saying we have lost ourselves, but we will come back to ourselves because we're going to be given no choice but to. She's showing me over the next 10 to 20 years, the whole birth thing, pregnancy thing is going to, it's already starting, but it's going to get stronger. Again, this is the future generations doing things very differently. She says everyone's waiting for him, my son, to revisit this earth and the second coming. She said that's not going to happen. The second coming has to come from within. It's all about coming from within. Because in order for this earth to change and evolve, we must step out of adoration. It's Christ. He's come to save us. It's, RFK Jr. He's come to save us. It's Donald Trump. He's come to all of that. We're getting all of that all the time. They are not going to save you. It's got to come from within us. It's got to come. We're waiting for this external moment, this big flash, this big event. It's not. The event has to happen within people. She said the main event is going to be within people. The event that we need to change. We're not just going to wake up one day and all the skies are filled with crafts. It's got to change from within first. Because if right now I'm sat here, if all of a sudden the sky filled with craft, even those that are aware of it, that are aware of what it could be, would feel a bit, ooh, my God, what's that? You would. You may think you wouldn't. And also as well, don't forget when they come in like that physical, the frequency that they bring into the earth would fry us. So that's why we're working on our frequency at the minute, having to work daily, diligently on our frequency so that we can start to have those moments and work towards those moments. Because at the minute, if that craft came in, it would be too much. It would be too much. And she says it'll actually cause more pain and more discontent than actually healing at the minute. There's too much imbalance. As she's saying, there's too much chemical imbalance within the brain, within humans at the minute. What's the future of mothering? Future of pregnancy? She's saying doctors are going to start seeing different things happening in pregnancy that's going to baffle them. Shorter pregnancies, quicker births. She's saying less blood in births as well. And I'm seeing like all these doctors trying to work out what's why. This has never happened before. Gradually. Showing me animal births as well, the simplicity of an animal birth. She's saying there's a lot of issues with periods at the minute. She says lots of women struggling with heavy periods, light periods, painful periods. She said, at this point, if you have any concerns, please do go see your doctor. There's a lot of upgrading these codes as we sit here. And also she's saying this is also getting your attention back into your divinity, your divine feminine energy. Because if you think about it, if you're sat here, because you have a period pain, what do you do? You rub that area. So even your hand knows to go to that area and you rub that area. So your hand is connected into that area. So then why are we not connected into those codes, into that area? She said it's been treated as though it's dirty, and it's not dirty. Many wise women are going to be choosing, and they already are doing to some extent, many wise women are going to be choosing to incarnate to become midwives, the future midwives. I'm seeing home births, which are already on the increase, but I'm also seeing not hospital births, but other places that are not hospitals, where you can go to have your baby, that maybe start in some place of the country, maybe starting, but I'm seeing those as well. So let's pull back from that. What guidance would you give for those with the mother wound? Forgiveness, acceptance, and love. To understand that they are also a victim. That there is nothing we can do about the past, but there is everything we can do about the present. The anger, she says, that so many people are holding, children towards parents, parents towards children, angry because they've lost their mother, angry because their mother's died. She's just becoming a poison, and it's damaging humanity. She's actually saying people are expecting far too much from mothers. That's interesting. You're expecting far too much. And please don't say in the comments, so my mother physically abused. I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the other stuff. She wasn't very demonstrative. She wasn't this, she wasn't that. We're expecting too much. She said you were expecting too much from each other. She showed me Valentine's Day, you want the flowers, we want this, we want that, we want it all to be Instagrammable, we want we want all that. We're expecting too much. It's about coming back to simplicity, coming back to wholeness, wholesomeness. How do we do that? How do we do that then? And then we will wrap this video up. How do we do that? How do we do that? The divine masculine. The garden. Ooh, what happened in the Garden of Eden? I wasn't expecting those cards. How do we do that? We go back to the garden. We use our divine masculine energy in the right way. There's way too many people using it in the wrong way. Firing up against the ancestors. You know, you always hear ancestral trauma. What about ancestral enlightenment? Because ancestors don't half get a pummeling at the minute of people, and I find it triggering. Because I think one day somebody could be looking at you in that way. Because you're not perfect. No, we're not perfect. You know, we need to be watchful of the stories that are going to get passed down the line from us, about us. The garden. Is this the garden with Adam and Eve in it? Temptation, the apple of temptation. It's also reminding me going back to the ancient ways. Tapping back into our Egypt and Atlantis and all of that, Lemuria, all the different civilizations that we've lost. We've lost them for a reason. And actually, know something, I actually think they can come back. They'll come back when we've changed, when we're ready. They will come back. But they won't come back in the way that they were. There'll be something different. Purification, we need to purify first. We need to reach out to each other. We need to reach out to society. We need to reach out to ourselves as well. Purification. Final card from this deck, the True Love deck, for this video. Sexual freedom and yin and yang. Men and women working together to make this earth a better place, to make this earth a more sacred place. It's not just the role of the divine feminine, it's not just the role of the divine masculine, it's both. I actually get triggered, and I actually do feel it for men when they get a bashing at the minute, the divine feminine rising. No. The divine feminine and the divine masculine, men and women rising together, not walking over on each other. That's not a better energy, that's not a new earth energy. This is about both coming together, creating children of love within love, creating children that come from love. How do we expect children to come from love if they're being conceived at a knee tremble at the back of a nightclub? Let's get blunt. You know, so this is about how we go forward, how we use our bodies, how we use our connection with each other. And that's how we gradually make the change. It's all simple. I think sometimes we look for a big sparkly answer that's going to change the game. But actually what changes the game is simplicity and simple decision making. Love, compassion, understanding, joy. Yeah, thank you for watching. If you'd like to do the next group healing, which is the Mother Wound group healing, it is on the 9th and the 10th of August 2022. It is 2 days healing, £22, okay? It is done via distance channeling. I will be focusing on all aspects of the mother wound. Mothers that have lost children, children that have lost mothers, children that have had issues with mothers, mothers that have had issues with children, grandparents. If you're struggling to conceive, this is the mother wound. The mother wound isn't just something that we brandish on social media in order to get likes and all of that. That's not the mother wound. The mother wound isn't. The mother wound is such a vast, deep subject. It's untrue. To take part in that, you go to my website, which is, if you go down to the description or the comment section, scroll down a little bit, it'll say the next group healing. There is another YouTube video that please watch if you've not watched it, just so you know what you're putting yourself down for, because you won't believe the amount of people that'll pay me and then email me and go, I don't know what I've paid for. That shocks me. So make sure that you do know what you're paying for, because again, that's another example that we should be looking into things. Okay, I want to do this healing, but I'm going to watch that video. There's no classes, there's no Zoom links, there's nothing to link or to click on to accept the healing. The healing is done via myself to you throughout the day. You go about your day as normal, okay? Be giving yourself the permission to receive and to release. And actually, even if you think you've had the best relationship with your mother in the world or the best relationship with your children in the world, there'll still be elements of this that needs to be healed within all of us, men and women, okay? So that is the 9th and the 10th of August, which comes just after, the day after in fact, Lionsgate, which is one of the biggest portals in our calendar. So it's going to be a huge time for healing. There is also a supermoon, I think a few days before it, super new moon, full moon in Aquarius. So this is going to be huge energies that this group healing is going to be happening with. So if you want a bit, you know what to do. Go into the section, scroll down a bit, watch that video if you've not already watched it, and make your payment. You should click on the website and it takes you straight to the place for the group healing. Thank you for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, drop us a like, drop us a comment, share it if you want to, subscribe if you want more content. I do have another channeling, a playlist on here which is called Channeling famous people. You can work your way through that as well. Been lovely to spend some time with you. I hope you've enjoyed your tea or your coffee, and I will see you in the next one. Love to all. Ooh, where's the button? Bye.